going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 23 of Let's Build the U.S.S. Enterprise A 2.0 tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and supporting the channel. I can't thank you guys enough for that. I know it's been a while since I've had a video out. I admittedly have not had a ton of videos out in 2025. I wanted to take some time to talk about what the future of my YouTube channel is going to be. I don't want you guys necessarily to worry because my channel's not going anywhere. I think I'm always going to put out videos in some shape or form. But I've had a couple of milestones this year. I recently turned 40. I don't really get in my personal stuff too much, but my YouTube channel's been around for 10 years. And I don't know, you do something for so long, and I kind of feel like this is going to be a good place to put an end cap as far as tutorials go. Because ultimately, I started doing tutorials just to try to show somebody how they could do the Enterprise and have better success than I did my first several attempts, because at the time there was nobody doing tutorials for these ships, and I will take credit for that. I was the first one to actually do it. But with all that being said, it feels like this is going to be the right time to end that. And I think what it ultimately comes down to is that I want to try out different things in my life. And I don't want to keep putting out just the same stuff over and over again. And I kind of feel like that's what happened with my tutorials, is that even though we're building different ships, a lot of these processes are the same. But I think that the tutorials that I've put out so far are really some great examples of different types of ships and different scenarios, so that hopefully somebody can still go through the tutorials that I've put out and learn a thing or two about shipbuilding on Minecraft, and they'll be able to build whatever they want to their heart's content. So with all that being said, well, what are you going to do in the future? So I got a bunch of different things that are going on that I've actually been working on in the background in 2025. Now, before I get into anything else, what's going to be the deal with Minecraft? Am I going to do any type of Minecraft videos in the future? Yes. I do have other things that I had made. I rebuilt the Enterprise D. I also built the Excelsior. I will be putting out tour videos for both of those, of what I currently have. And I am officially going to say I'm not going to be putting out a tutorial for the Excelsior. I may one day put it out. I'm not going to get rid of the files. I still have them, but I think for the long-term foreseeable future, if anything, I'm not planning to come back to tutorials. But with all that being said, I did record some stuff for the Enterprise D already, and I may actually put out what I did for the deflector dish, because I'm actually very proud with how that turned out. Not perfect. There's still a lot of things I would have liked to have changed on it, but I may ultimately doing that. So now that we've got that out of the way, I may just put out some update videos here and there, basically. I had started doing my City on the Edge Forever project, where I was working on a full-scale city of Gotham, and I thought that was kind of cool. So I might do some of that stuff here and there. Now, moving outside of doing stuff with just Minecraft, I might end up doing some builds for Ark Survival Ascended. I'm planning on getting back into that at some point. Another thing I've actually been doing as a hobby over the last couple of years is I actually do custom McFarlane figures. You guys will I should hopefully have it up by the time this episode drops, but I'll have a thing on my Discord. Any of you guys are interested in checking that stuff out. I've got a ton of custom figures that I've done over the past 3 years, and I'm pretty proud of most of them. I don't think I'm going to end up being one of those people that do tutorials for it. If anything, I think I'm just going to end up getting a GoPro and just doing update videos just to show what I have, because there's plenty of people out there that will do tutorials for that way better than I ever could. I've got two other things that I've been doing. I actually have a studio that I've been working on, and I've been putting out concepts on Reddit. I do a combination of drawing, Photoshop, and I use AI to help me with some of those assets. So I might do something with that in some videos, but I haven't really decided. And lastly, the thing I'm most excited about is I'm actually a published writer now. I'm very proud of this. I've been working on a story since 2009 that started with a character called Agent Zero, and I've picked the story back up a few times over the years, and long story short, I started working on that pretty heavily in February. Well, end of January, beginning of February, I started really trying to get it done, because originally it was going to be a comic book, but without getting into the beans of that, there's some reasons I ended up not going that course, and I decided I wanted to do just a novel, because I actually used to be really good at drawing, and I'd gotten into a car accident, got some nerve damage. I can still draw and stuff, I can't do it for long periods of time without my hands start going numb, and it causes problems. So that was the main reason. So Total Control became a novel. Those of you that want to support me, if you want to check it out, you can go on Amazon right now and just search Total Control, The Lie That Built Us, or you can also just search my name, Will Hens, H as in Henry, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, Z as in Zebra. And I've got 3 different editions. I've got the Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. I'm not asking you guys to get any of the physical copies. If you do want to support me, just get the digital, because the physical copies, the paperback doesn't have any of the artwork, but the hardcover does. And that's why it's a little bit pricey. But with that being said, the Kindle version has all that artwork. And just to do some shameless self-promoting, and then I promise we're going to actually dive right into this episode after this. But if you do get a chance to check out my novel, and you might be interested in cyberpunk thrillers, come and check it out. If you like Blade Runner, if you like The Matrix, you like Altered Carbon, you might actually enjoy it. With Total Control, they built a world where emotion was engineered, and they called it paradise. In Exotica, emotion is currency, memory is property, and control is law. Apex agents enforce order through emotional surveillance, memory erasure, and corporate design. Agent Zero is one of them, a perfect clone without a past, until one mission fractures his conditioning and reveals truth buried beneath grid. The joy isn't real, the memories aren't his, and the world he protects was built on a lie. Haunted by his own command, Agent Zero descends into a maze of espionage, betrayal, and synthetic humanity, where every emotion is weaponized, every choice cuts deeper than memory. Total Control is a cinematic cyberpunk thriller, a descent into identity, illusion, and the cost of feeling in a world that made emotion a crime. If you guys get the chance, please stop and check it out. I want to leave you guys on this, and then we're going to dive right in this episode. One of the things that really made me dive into Total Control and finishing this book, you know, I'm 40 years old now, and I've spent my whole life building starships in Minecraft and all these other things. And when you get older, you start to think of things a little bit differently. And I've made the decision that the things that I really flesh out going forward are going to be the things that are mine. And that was a big motivation for me to complete Total Control. So any of you out there that don't think that you can do it, just try. And if you can't get there, pick it up and start again. Just don't give up. Seek out your dream and make it happen. Anyway, I've went on for 10 minutes and we still haven't gotten this tutorial. So thank you guys for dealing with me for that period of time, just so I can get a chance to go over everything. But without further ado, let's go ahead and we're going to finish this out with a bang. We're going to get through all the remaining episodes that we have left for the Enterprise A 2.0, so let's dive right into it. We're going to be picking up where we left off in episode 22, working on the shelf piece that sits on top of the saucer section. And we're just going to work on getting everything blended back in. So what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be working off of our very bottom row. And what we're going to do is we're going to transition our template that we have for the side, and we're going to wrap it around the back. So we're starting with the half slabs. Want to make sure that our line, and we're just going to go with a cut line that we've already got in place with the blue. So if you really think about it, all of our hard work, it's already been pre-set up for us. We're just going to clean up, take off a couple of rows here, so this way we can make room for a white concrete row. We're not doing anything fancy, we're just following the cut line. And as long as you do that, you can't make a mistake. It's less important what I'm doing. What's more important that you guys are having fun and you're following the steps. It's something now that I think about my YouTube channel, moving on from doing tutorials, this is probably my number one rule with them, is follow the cut line. At least for me anyway. It's worked out wonderfully for these builds, and you guys have already seen what the Enterprise A looks like when she's done, so I think she came out awesome. So now we're moving on to the next row. We did our half slabs, now we're moving on to the gray concrete, and then we're going to move back to the half slabs. Again, we're not doing anything crazy, we're just following our cut line. For right now, we're just going to complete the row, following the template that we have in place. This blue's probably not, is more than likely not going to end up remaining. Well, actually, I think it does. I stand corrected. But let's zoom out, and we're going to take a look at it from the side. And this is why I say stopping to take a moment to look at what you're doing, to marinate on it, look at your reference material, and either keep going or maybe stop and think about what you're doing, and if it's not lining up, what can you do to fix it. Even with as good as the ship turned out, it didn't start out perfectly. We had a couple of changes we had to make to the top of the saucer, but like with any build, these things are just going to happen, and it's all about problem solving and figuring out different ways to approach it and coming up with a solution. It sucks because I wish that there was a more easy way to explain it, but sometimes you just got to spin your tires until you land on where you need to land. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to continue on. You could say I went to the front lip of where it transitioned, and I'm bringing it back just a couple more rows. So I go one cut, two cut, and then the third cut. I'm going to bring it straight across. And then we're going to have to go in and fill in everything forward that's within this cut line. Just like that. You want to make sure you do the same thing on the left side. Pause the video. Once you've completed that step, come back and we're going to continue right along. I know some of you will probably be disappointed that I'm not going to be doing tutorials going forward, but if you really think about it, I won't be putting out nearly as much content going forward. It'll actually be a little bit thin in the beginning, but long term it'll be healthy for my channel because it's going to give me the opportunity to put out different things to get more exposure. And I know a lot of you guys have been very supportive of me and been with me since the beginning, and I'm really appreciative of that loyalty. And a lot of you have said the same thing: how do you not have more subscribers? Well, this is going to be something that I'm trying out, and you never know. I don't want to give a false sense of hope, but you don't know what tomorrow will bring. There could be a ship that comes out in the future that I'm just dying to build, and I've just got to have it, and I end up making it in Minecraft or something. You never know. But I'm not planning on it at this point. I'm just saying never say never, because you don't know what will breeze through the door tomorrow. So we've got some things we've got to correct here. Our backbone we've got to bring it up a little bit. And you can see all I'm going to do here, I'm going to follow my cut lines. I've just brought it up a little bit off of that gray line, and I'm going off of that. And then we'll transition down the same way that we did before. I know some people, you know, when they use their computer programs in building in Minecraft, it's probably a lot more convenient where you can just press a button and select an area and move it up by a row. But unfortunately, we're doing this old school, by hand, block for block, no computer assistance, none. Um, and that was also another thing too, which made these episodes take so long to get to putting these episodes out, because building block for block is very time consuming, and to get it right, as you guys can see, it takes quite a bit of work. But I'm fairly proud of all the builds that I've done on here. Looking back on it, I think probably the build that I'm most proud of, more than likely, is my rebuild of the Enterprise D. I think that's at least the one I'm the most proud of, followed very closely by the Enterprise A 2.0. Alright, so all we're doing here, we're just cleaning up some of the access, and again, I'm just following the template, following the cut line, what we've already have mapped out. Because, you know, even if you don't like Star Trek, you know, you're into something else, watch these tutorials, because they'll teach you a thing or two about building and how to take a picture and wireframe it into a 3D model using blocks. You think about it, it's not that hard, or excuse me, it's the opposite of that. It's not that easy to take a photo and then transition it into pixel art, basically, is what we're doing, and 3D pixel art at that. It can be very challenging to get the shapes that you want. Alright, we're going to be getting the circle in, and then I believe we're going to be slightly shifting gears, and we're going to start working on the template for the impulse engines. I know it's been a while since we've had a chance to chat, but what do you guys think about Paramount getting bought out? I know that there's some people that are happy about it. I know there's some people that are not so happy about it. Strange New Worlds is going to be ending. We've got Starfleet Academy coming out. Everything's kind of up in the air with Star Trek, because I know as of 2027 is really when we're going to start seeing the new slate of things under the new regime, because between Strange New Worlds wrapping up and then Starfleet Academy coming out, I'm not going to say anything negative, but I will say I'm excited to see what they're going to do going forward. I'm excited to see this new take of Star Trek that they're working on. I'm all for it. I would like to see a continuation of TNG, but, you know, again, it's more Star Trek. I just think that it's important to continue doing different things with Star Trek, and it's not a knock against Discovery. I think it may be time to move away from that. And somebody could make the argument, well, you know, dude, you just said that you wanted a sequel to TNG with Legacy, what will come after Picard. And you know what? That's a fair point. But at the same time, I'm also down to see what they're going to do with this new take. That's what I'm most excited for, to get new Star Trek. Because I think there are things I like about Strange New Worlds, things I don't like, but one of the recurring things that I notice is that, to me anyway, it really seems like the writers, not that they're not creative people, but it just seems to me like they don't know what to do with Pike outside of his future storyline. And it seems to me like they don't truly understand what Star Trek is or how to write it, because if you look, they don't do any of their own creativity. They copy the greatest hits. And I know some people can say, well, you know, there's been like 2 million episodes of Star Trek, and that's fair. But I just think it's important to keep pushing that envelope and trying new things, and have those callback moments when it warrants it. Man, she's looking good. I tell you what, Enterprise A 2.0 is definitely a challenger for my favorite builds against Enterprise D. It almost, they're virtually neck and neck. It might even be a tie, because every time we zoom out and we take a look, just the profiles of it and everything, this is what I wanted from the get-go. Going back to 2009 is when I first came up with, or 2009, 2010, whenever the remake, the Kelvin timeline came out, and I saw their version of the Enterprise. I always wanted to add have a version of that essentially with angled pylons. And this just kind of gives me an excuse to do it and play and have a little bit of fun. Alright, so we're just going to follow our cut line here, going with a gray. We're going to do 1, 2, and then a third. And we'll add a fourth. I'd rather do this gingerly and really take my time, look at it, look at the width of it, make sure that it's looking good. We don't want it to be too long. We don't want it to be too short either. But I am going for more of that elongated Star Trek Into Darkness at the very end, where they show the refitted Enterprise with its new impulse engines. I thought they looked so cool and modern. I was very disappointed when they showed the Enterprise A at the end of Beyond, when they went back to classic impulse engines. Seemed like a step backwards, which you guys are probably tired of me saying. I've talked about it a million times. One of my favorite things to talk about when we're working on this area of the ship, though. And I was even thinking about it too. I know that really not going to get a chance to do too much with the interior, but those of you that have been with me on this journey, you know, we've built out the Disco Air Enterprise, so we have done some interiors on here. So you guys are going to have a lot of material to go and further flesh these ships out however you want, and you don't even have to look at those. Do your own thing. I encourage it. Just because I'm doing something does not mean you have to follow those steps to the T. I think branching out and doing your own thing is important. But we're looking pretty good. I'm sorry it's taken so long to get this episode out. Like I said, you know, 2025 has just been a busy year for me after jumping into some new paths, which I'm very, very excited about. But this ship is looking pretty good. You can see I'm adding 2 in the very middle there just to kind of stretch it out. I'm trying to think of that angle, how it swoops in on the sides with the impulse engines. But no, I think we're actually going to be wrapping up right there if we don't make one more change. But I've got a fair bit of content to still put out for the Enterprise A 2.0, so it's not like these videos are going to be going away like next week or something like that. I haven't tallied them all together, but I can imagine that's probably going to be maybe at least definitely more than 10 episodes that are going to be left once I get everything divided up. I think I'll try to do that before I get the next wave of episodes out. Maybe try to get them all divided to see actually how many it's going to be. That's looking pretty good there. We got that stretched out. Might be a little bit too long, but maybe not. I mean, like I said, the impulse engines, then end of Into Darkness, they are very, very wide. That doesn't look too bad, though. You have to envision that we're going to cut that area out there for that inner workings of it. But anyway, I think that's going to do it for us today. I've kind of stretched this episode out to 24 minutes when, yeah, it was a lot shorter than before I went in with the commentary. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for me today. I just want to thank you guys very much for tuning in today's episode and sticking with me through it today and going over what the future of this channel is going to be. I'm very excited about it, and I really hope that you guys will stick with me on this journey. Check out my book. Can't thank you enough if you take the moment to do that. That's really the only time I'll ever ask anybody, not even necessarily to spend money. Just go and check it out if you get a moment. I'd really appreciate it. But thank you guys again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. Happy holidays to everybody. Happy New Year. And I'll catch you in the next episode. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? And to go further, what have you made creative? What have you designed? What have you built? Share in your comments below.